Alright guys, how you doing? Welcome to episode 7, and if you didn't see episode 6, it was setting up the Commodore OS. In this episode I'm going to show you how to copy some game files, some ROM files, over to the system. Now you could download them on the Commodore OS system. I like to do them on a separate system, but this method will work for any computer you have on your network to be able to copy them over. There are some things we have to do first. We're going to have to get into the command line, but it's good education for you. I hope you enjoy the video. I wanted to give some shout outs to the new, more recent subscribers, and thanks for joining the channel and subscribing. We got Victor. How you doing, Victor? Wes Martinez. Wes, what's up, Martinez? We've got Qang LN. We've got L Jups Stajanov. Hope I said your name right. And Pop Winning. So thanks again, guys, for your contribution to subscribing to the channel. It's going to help a lot, help get this channel off the ground. So without further ado, let's get into the Commodore OS command line and configure the Samba server.
Welcome.
And if you haven't already, like and subscribe to the channel. It helps support the channel, help get me out there, and we can do more videos. Alright, so let's switch over to the Commodore OS system. And we're here at the Commodore OS system. And first thing I like to do is configure my IP address. So if you go under System and Preferences, Internet and Network, you can see this option here, Advanced Network Configuration. And I have, my system is wired here. I have a wired network. And I want to go into my IPv4 settings. And in here, you're going to set your IP address. Now I have mine set to 192.168.1.8. I've got my net mask of 24. And of course my gateway is 192.168.1.1. That's going to be your router. So I have that all set up there. So that's all you have to do there. I just think it's easier. Now if you want to know what your... God, those sounds are getting on my nerves. Let me turn that down. If I want to get into see what my IP address is, because not everyone has it statically set. If you've just booted up the Commodore 64 OS, it's going to be grabbing DHCP from your router, whatever you're using. It's going to grab an address from there. So how do we know what that is? You don't necessarily have to change your IP to static. I like doing it for bookkeeping purposes because I have a list and I keep all of my IPs on a list so I know what devices have that IP, because it can change. So we're going to go into the command line interface here. You can see it down here on the dock. I'm going to click on that. I'm going to go ahead and make this bigger here, just so you guys can see a little bit better. And I'm going to type ifconfig. And you can see here it says that it's not found because that package is not included, and that package is called NetTools. So all we have to do, as long as you're plugged into the internet and everything's working as far as your internet, we can type this command. And so it did not work. So this is a good lesson. There's a reason why it didn't work. It's because I didn't type in sudo first. Now sudo is a super user do, and that allows you to run commands with administrative permissions. So let's try that again. I'm going to hit my up arrow because it's going to show me the last command. And I'll just type sudo apt install nettools. It's going to go out on the internet and fetch that package. So it should be installed now. Now even if I type it now, you can see that it can't find it. And the reason why is because that's not in the path. And I'm going to fix that later, but you can echo the path and take a look at what the path has in it, and you'll see that it doesn't have the S-Spine directory in it. So I'm going to do an echo command, a $sign, and then path. And you can see it's showing me the environment variable that stores the path. And you can see in there that it does not include the S-spine folder. Now, the S-spine is where all of the most of your executable programs are going to be. And that's not a big deal right now. I'm going to, like I said, I'll do a separate video on how to change that. It's just a matter of finding the profile and adjusting the path in there and editing it. I'm just going to go to my user S-spine folder. First, let me go to the root folder. I'll do an ls, which is a directory. You can do dir as well, or ls, doesn't matter. And there you go. So you have to add, even though it's in this directory, you have to add the period and the / first, and then type your ifconfig. So you can see my IP address is set up. It's 192.168.1.8. And now if I switch back to my Windows system and I try to connect to it, let's see what happens. So I'm going to click on my PC, this PC. I'm going to try 2 / or left-leaning slashes. I'm going to try to type in, and you can see it's really not doing anything. It's searching. It can't find it. That's because we have some more things we have to set up. So let's go back to the rack mount system here. Now what I like to do first is set up a user account. So I'm going to do sudo add user and Frank. I'm just going to add a user, Frank. So it's going to create the user. It's going to copy some files over. So now that that's all complete, I'm going to create a password for myself. And for full name, just put what you want there. And room number and all of that stuff you really don't need. My information is correct. And so you can see it's added me to all those groups on the Linux computer. And so we can head on to the next step now. Okay, so let's just look on the Commodore system here and see where all the games are kept. If you go to Commodore Home up here, or you can go to your file browser. I can't remember if I might have made that shortcut. Anyway, it's going to be your computer where your files are, and it's going to be classic software, and then Commodore. At least for me, it's going to be Commodore. I'm not sure what kind of games you're trying to copy, but you could certainly share the entire folder. C64, and you can see the games folder here, and I have my Commodore ROMs in here. You can see we have a bunch of games in here. So it's kind of a long path, and it just makes it easier, at least for me, to copy them over the network. So how do we do that? Well, we can do it a number of ways here. If you right click on a folder here, you can go to sharing options, and you can see it says share this folder. I have that checked. Allow users to create and delete files. That's fine with me. I'm the only one that uses the system. And guest access is nice because it's not going to ask you for a user account every time. Although if you're using Windows 11 or whatever, you could save the password. So I just set that up. There's another way is we have to configure the Samba server. So what we have to do is we'll exit this. I just wanted to give you an overview of the files there. I'm going to go back to my command line. And what I'm going to do is go into the etc directory. We'll do an ls here. And there's going to be a Samba folder. Now, Samba is basically what allows you to share the files between Windows and other computers. So, but there is a file in here we have to look at, and that's the smb.conf file. So I'm going to do a sudo. I use Pico. Nano you could use. You could certainly use Nano. It's the same program. Sudo nano smb.conf, and this is the configuration file for Samba. So we're going to go in here, and this is already set here. These are the global settings, and my work group is standard. It's been like that for like, I don't know, 20 years. It's been work group even in Windows. I'm going to leave that alone. That's fine. I don't have to mess with the interfaces here. Now anything that has a semicolon is commented out, so you could just uncomment it out if you wanted that option. I'm not interested in that. I'm just going with the simple setup here. So we're going to browse down. And there's a bunch of options in here. And you can see this. These are the share definitions here. And you can see we have one called Homes. And if yours is set to no here, just change it and set it to yes. And also you want to change this option here and just say read only equals no. That way you can write, or you're not going to be able to copy any files to it. All that's fine. So what we want to do is go all the way to the bottom here, and I've already configured this, so I'm just going to comment it out, but this is what you're going to put. Now you can call this anything you want. This is basically a share name. So when you go into, when you're using your Windows and you browse the network to this IP address, that's the folder you're going to see. So I'm going to go ahead and comment all these out. And you want to put these exactly the way I have it here. So the path is the home, Commodore is the user, classic software, and Commodore. That's going to be the path where all the games are going to be stored. And it is browsable, writable, read-only, course no. Guest OK is yes. And for valid users, you're going to put the username that you created. I created Frank, so I'm putting that there. And then when you're done, you can hit the control key and O, the letter O. And it's going to say file name to write, and I'm just going to press enter. And so it saved it. So now that we have our Samba configuration file set up, we have to add myself to the Samba database to give me permission to access it. So first I need to bring up my terminal again. I'm going to go to view and just zoom in a little bit here so it's easier for you guys to see it. And we have to type sudo smb password -a means add, and I'm going to add myself to it. We're going to add the user I created. It's going to ask me what I want the password to be. So you just type it in, and that should be good to go then. So we have the user set up. So now we need to add a firewall rule, and it's not complicated. It's a simple command. We're just going to type sudo UFW allow Samba. And you can see it shows that the rule was added. So now that we have permission to use the Samba. Now we can look at the status. We can type sudo UFW status numbered, and you can see the firewall rules there. It's showing us that Samba is allowed in. So there are other useful commands that we should know here, and one of them is to restart So whenever you make a change to the configuration files for Samba and it's not working, I've been there, it's just frustrating and you're like, what's going on? Well, it's because I didn't restart it. So you can do sudo systemctl status and then Samba, and that will tell you if it's loaded, active, kind of gives you the status there. But if you had to restart it, I'm just hitting Control C to exit that. Then you would want to do a sudo systemctl, and let's just say it was already running, you were just editing the configuration file. Restart and then Samba. And so that's all you have to do there. Okay, so I'm back on my Windows machine now. We have Windows 11. I'm going to go to this PC up here. Even though it's there already, I'm going to type it again. And you can see now I have my home folder that's showing here. I have homes. I have the C64 directory. And we go into my C64 and games. I have all my game ROMs set up in here. So now if I download some games on this computer here, which is usually where I'm doing everything here, I'm doing all my tutorials and all of my work. This is my main work computer. I can go ahead and just copy and paste the game ROMs in here. And now I can just access it through a shortcut on my desktop. So I've just been getting the CRT files, and just to show you how easy it is, I'm just going to take a few files from here, copy them. This is my Windows 11 system, and then I'm going to right click over here and paste them in. And I already did this, so I'm going to replace the files in there, and that's as simple as that. Now when I go to my Commodore system, those games are available to play. So now for the heck of it, we'll try our smb status command again, sudo smb status, and you can see now it's showing different information. You can see let me see if I can make this a little bit smaller so I can see the screen there. We'll stretch this out a little bit. And you can see it's showing that I'm accessing from my Windows computer, which is here, these shares right here. So we have the Commodore shares that I had set up. Okay guys, and since you got that to work, you might as well congratulate yourself, pat yourself on the back, and of course enjoy a good game. And we have under Shoot 'em Up, this is one of my favorites, Incinerate. Alright guys, that's a wrap. So thanks to Helpy Skeleton there. He's only there temporarily until Halloween, and then he's going back to wherever he goes, wherever he lives. So happy Halloween to you guys. If you liked the video, like and subscribe, and we'll see you on the flip side.
Goodbye.